Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. My name is Atoosa, and I am an engineer and a philosopher. And I've been working on this very sophisticated topic around different narratives about humanity's future with AI. So this is a really, really important topic because depending on how we think about humanity's future and AI, we're going to define different research projects. We're going to decide about distribution of resources. So it's not just a story. It's like a story by which we live. So it's a really, really important kind of like topic. And today we are here on the island of freedom, SZIGET. So I want to invite all of you to think like in a constructive way about the future. Don't expect me to give you the responses about how to think about the future of AI. I want you to think with me and understand the complexities of this whole space and think about what should we do next. All right, so we live in such interesting times because in some places people talk about AI as if it's just like a new thing. Even if you, like I live in Silicon Valley at the moment, and then in Silicon Valley, when you drive in some highways, there are these billboards about like AI, as if like AI is just this new thing that is being discovered. But we should never forget the history that AI, the term artificial intelligence was first coined in 1956 for organizing a conference. The goal of this conference, the conference was organized in Dartmouth College in the United States. The goal of the conference was to develop machines that think like humans. That was the big goal. That was like the big vision. And at that time, people didn't know how they have to do it. So since 1956, those researchers wanted to resolve this problem. In the summer of 1956, and we are in 2024, we are still trying to work on this kind of very important topic. Okay, so obviously we can talk about all of the achievements of AI since 1956. I want to refer to a couple of very important achievements from my perspective that I think would help us to kind of like navigate in this narrative space as we go forward. So in 1956, as I said, the term was coined, and people didn't know how they have to design these computer systems that can produce some sort of artificial intelligence. And the term intelligence, you all need to know, is like a very controversial topic because in the early 20s, a lot of the theories of intelligence were tied to a lot of racist projects. So in this whole field of AI these days, a lot of people talk about capabilities instead of intelligence in order to go away from this association of intelligence and capabilities. But basically, intelligence means a collection of capabilities. So we humans think that we are intelligent because we are capable to do many different things. We can write, we can read, we can think, we can do mathematics, we can do poetry, we can do science. All of these sorts of capabilities that we are capable of doing kind of are referred to as intelligence. Okay, so a lot of achievements have been done. People were trying to develop many different AI algorithms until in 1997, something monumental happened. So in 1997, an AI algorithm was developed, which was called Deep Blue. And this Deep Blue was able to play chess. And Deep Blue, this algorithm, played against Garry Kasparov, that was a champion of chess in 1997. And surprisingly, Deep Blue algorithm won. And so everyone, at this time, and it's 1997, everyone was like super shocked. They say, oh, we have developed this algorithmic system that can win the world champion in chess. So what's going to come next? Super exciting. And so then a lot of other kind of like tools developed, a lot of companies came up, Amazon, Google, all of these companies became these big corporations because they were developing all of these algorithmic systems, pushing these algorithmic systems into many different products. And in 2011 to 2014, all of these virtual assistants started popping up, like you've used some version of Siri or Google Home or many other kind of assistants. So at this time, you started like everyone started having this experience of playing with this algorithmic system, and the algorithm would do what you want to do. So you can just like walk around in your kitchen like you're cooking, and then you ask Alexa to play blah blah song for you. And many times Alexa makes a mistake, especially if you tried it in other languages than English. But in English, and if you have a good pronunciation, like you're a native speaker, I'm not, so I don't have a good experience with Alexa. But I guess some of my American friends have a good experience, because you say, oh, Alexa, play blah blah song from Taylor Swift, and Alexa plays it. So you don't need to go take your phone, decide playing this song, connect it to your tools, etc. So a lot of people at this time started thinking about this helps that this assistance can do for humans, so you can live life easier. Like, you can live life easier. That's been like the vision. And then in 2015, another big breakthrough happened. And this big breakthrough in 2015, I think, is like the biggest breakthrough that we've seen in AI research over the past decade. And here what happens, something similar to this algorithm that won the chess champion, but here Google DeepMind in London developed this algorithm called AlphaGo, and AlphaGo was able to win against the Go champion, Lee Sedol. So there is this amazing documentary. If you haven't watched it, I recommend you to watch it. It's about this whole experience of Lee Sedol, this amazing Korean world champion of the game of Go, playing against this algorithm, and he was shocked and surprised and sad, and there was this moment where, of course, the developers were so excited, but the humans were shocked, like, what are we doing? Like, it was so fun always to have this world champion, and now we have an algorithm that is doing this. What is happening? And so, and then game of Go, the reason that I'm saying it's important is the complexity of the game of Go is much, much, much harder than chess. So chess, you know, there are a set of like limited rules you can follow, play. The people say, okay, like it's not too hard, but like typically humans do much more complex tasks. But the game of Go and AlphaGo, and again, this is like 9 years ago, like achieved these things. And then after that, like people try to develop many different algorithms. I just gave 2 examples of AI algorithms for games, but DeepMind did another very interesting things in science. So they developed an algorithm called AlphaFold that the whole scientific field loved it, because the AlphaFold could kind of help predicting the structure of proteins, and a lot of people in drug discovery thought that, okay, with AlphaFold, we would be able to resolve a lot of problems. We can maybe in a faster way develop these algorithms for, you know, which would help us to develop drugs, medications against cancer, etc. And then I guess we came to 2020, where OpenAI started introducing different algorithms based on a specific architecture, GPT. And then in 2022, OpenAI did this experiment, which basically put out ChatGPT, gave access to people. They literally did not expect, this is what they say, they did not expect the kind of interest that they observed. And then after a couple of months, they just figured out, oh my God, everyone in the world is talking about ChatGPT. And so then that was another defining moment where like ChatGPT was introduced, people started playing around, a lot of people started investing in, and so a lot of people started thinking about this transformational nature of AI. And so then some other people on the other side of the spectrum felt like, okay, we always talk about these achievements of AI, but there are all these instances of AI doing bad things in the world, being misused by people, or like being used in a very accidental way, harming people. Why we don't talk about these examples? Why we are just talking about success examples? So there are so many different ways in which you can read about these misuses or incidents, problematic cases of AI. This is a very like up-to-date database about like everyday uses of AI for like in wrongful ways. One important recent example is like Elon Musk, this billionaire, the idol of a lot of people, shared a deep fake video of Kamala Harris, And then some people say, actually, he didn't know it's a deepfake. So how come an AI developer doesn't know about this deepfake? Like, what is it happening? All of these billions of people who follow him. So then a lot of questions, again, were raised about these issues. But again, these questions have been around a lot before. We have had a lot of people researching about the misuses of AI in military. We have seen very important examples in the recent war between Israel and Gaza. For example, the use of this system called Lavender, which has been used in targeting some Palestinians, and then the accuracy of those algorithms that were used are super low. It means that a lot of people are wrongly targeted. And of course, before that, there's been a lot of campaigns that people put forward, like the killer robot. We have some people from the killer robot campaign here. So basically, the idea was let's think about the future. We are developing these robotic systems in military, and then we're gonna develop these killer robots, and then you're gonna release them in battlefields or in conflicting zones, and who is gonna be responsible? So there are all of these questions, like fears, I think justified fears about what are we doing with these AI systems and how us as normal citizens can have a say in that. But then AI, as I said, is a thing that people have been talking about since 1956. So now the whole hot topic is AGI, Artificial General Intelligence. And that is a system that is not just like a AlphaGo that can play the game of Go, or like the Deep Blue that won against Garry Kasparov. It is this artificial intelligence system that can do anything like the things that humans do. It can do mathematics, it can resolve law questions, it can write code, it can do a lot of cognitive things the way humans do. And all of the sexy companies in the world, sexy AI research centers, they're now talking about artificial general intelligence, AGI. So here, this is an image, like a screenshot from Google DeepMind. So they say the ultimate goal is to develop artificial general intelligence. OpenAI says they are planning for AGI and beyond. IBM is giving some examples about artificial general intelligence, and Gartner is also talking about artificial general intelligence. So now, the hot topic is AGI, or super intelligent AI, but super intelligent is still very speculative. So AGI is the topic that people are talking about. And of course, these words always are plugged into narratives, because these words are always used in order to push forward for some stories about the future. So I want to talk to you about 3 important narratives that people are putting out about AGI, and just want you to think about these narratives, because I want to ask your opinion about which narratives you favor or you find more plausible in a couple minutes. So the first narrative is this narrative that we can refer to as existential risk narrative. So the idea here is something like this. We are having artificial general intelligence. We are not questioning that we are developing them or not. We are developing them. DeepMind says they are developing. OpenAI says they are developing. So we are developing artificial general intelligence systems. But the problem with these systems is that they can surpass humans in general intelligence. And then we won't be able to control them. And then they become these devilish characters, and they're gonna make us go extinct. In the same way that dinosaurs went extinct, we're gonna go extinct with these AGI systems. And a lot of researchers from many different sectors in industry, academia, civil society, first of all, I say this is a controversial view. A lot of people hate this perspective, but a lot of people are a huge fan of it. And so this statement, for example, about AI risk came out from a Center for AI Safety in San Francisco. They do a lot of lobbying. They are very, very closely connected to regulators in the United States and California. And so they say mitigation of the risk of extinction from AI should be global priority. So they take this extinction risk from AGI very seriously. And of course, if you think about these scenarios, if you want to work in this space, you need to think about this apocalyptic situation, these dystopian scenarios that might come out because of AGI. And then the question is what should we do? It's complicated. We would panic, and it's a collective action kind of situation. And so the idea here is like, look, we're gonna scale up the development of these AI systems, and at some point they will be able to self-improve themselves, and they're gonna become much better than humans. And so we're gonna get to these super intelligent systems. This is not questionable. And so then basically they're gonna maybe kill all of humans. Okay, this is one narrative, so existential risk narrative. The second narrative is like an opposite reaction to that existential risk narrative. We can talk about it as accelerationist narrative. Super interestingly, the people who push forward for this idea, some of the most famous people are billionaire venture capitalists in Silicon Valley. And so they promise is something like, look, AGI is great. All of this existential risk story is just like bullshit. Because we know, and they know it means that they suggest that AGI is gonna solve humanity's greatest challenges, and it's gonna unlock a lot of unprecedented potential, and rapid development is necessary. We shouldn't regulate, we shouldn't stop, we should just go all in. If you want to read something about this, is this manifesto published by Mark Anderson, like one of the biggest venture capitalists in Silicon Valley. It's called Techno-Optimist Manifesto. And by reading this, you get this feel for this accelerationist program. And again, this accelerationists want to react against the existential risk narrative. They say, like, that is a bad narrative. This is how we should think about AGI. Like, we're gonna have this amazing system, the potential risk of them are outweighed by the risk of not developing them. They don't give any justifications for this. This is just their perspective. They put it out. And then they say, okay, regulation or pauses in AI development could lead to worse outcomes. So we should not regulate. We should just like go all in AGI. They're super excited about these situations. And then there's a third narrative about AGI, which is a reaction against the first two narratives. And I call this just immediate harm narratives. And one person that I think can very well represent this narrative is this wonderful AI researcher, Timnit Gebru. And so she basically hates the idea of AGI. So she says, like, AGI is a scam. We should not talk about AGI because this is a notion, this is a term that is being used by a lot of people in power, by billionaires, by rich, for them to push forward for their agendas. It kind of like pushes people to think about this techno-utopian scenarios and promises. It kind of like this whole AGI stories is taking the minds of the young people to think about this like techno-utopia is the wrong way, and then we won't focus on real problems here and now, which are problems about climate change, the killing of environment by developing more and more data centers, because developing all of these AI systems requires spending and so much energy. Like, we don't see these kinds of things, we just see the majesty of ChatGPT, but a lot of energy is being spent, a lot of labor is exploited, and also a lot of stealing of data. So then this perspective basically says that we should just focus on the harms here and now. Don't talk about AGI. AGI is like a bad concept that is given to us. Okay, so 3 narratives. Now, for those of you who are in the audience and have an iPhone, I want you to scan this and then QR code and just tell me which of these narratives about the future of AI do you favor? And then we can see the live results here, just to get a feel for how does the audience think. All right, so we have 25 participants, and seems like the accelerationist narrative is favored, number 1 pick. The second pick is just immediate harm narrative, and the third one is existential risk narrative. Okay. So just keep in mind, for now, each of you have just one of these options. There was no other option that we put out. Okay, so that's great. So far we all talked about like AGI and AGI narratives as if we knew what is this technology. But historically, this is like one of the funniest thing about AI and AGI, and in general, the research in artificial intelligence system. This field is full of metaphors, and actually metaphors are very helpful because they don't fixate a notion. So they allow researchers to go for this open concepts and research for this like open space of possibilities, which is good. But the problem is when we want to think about its regulation, or we want to think about how to develop governance around AI systems or make them safe, then we're just like, what are we talking about? So this is a very, very famous statement that is coming from a computer scientist called Lawrence Tesler. And he says, as soon as it works, no one calls it AI anymore. And basically, the idea is like yesterday's AI is not an AI by today's standard. So today, when we talk about AI, we mean generative AI, we mean ChatGPT stuff, whereas we don't call the AI systems that people developed in 1980 AI anymore. Now, the situation about AGI even gets worse. Okay, here I've taken 4 different slides from experts. So these are the opinions of really like top-notch experts about artificial general intelligence. When artificial intelligence is coming, okay. The first view says AGI is here. Okay, this view is developed by 2 really amazing researchers. One is Peter Norvig, who is the co-author of the main standard book on Introduction to AI, and the other one is like a very top researcher at Google. So this person says AGI is here. Then there was this wonderful survey study that has been done, and from so many different researchers, the researchers ask when AGI is coming, and the kind of like consensus that they found is like the answer to this question depends on who you ask the question. So some people say it is coming in 2033, some people say it's here, some people say it's coming in 2048, some people say it's coming in 2070, like what the fuck is going on? And then here, of course, also like a lot of people talk about like sparks of AGI. We are not still there, but like we are getting there. It's not clear exactly what is it, but we are having these better systems, right? And I think one of the issues about these kinds of claims is that the kind of agency of humans is going to go under question implicitly, because just like these are coming, these are getting us, these are getting more smarter than us, and then we won't really think about all of the things that we are able to do and these systems are not able to do, right? Okay, so, and then when you look into this whole literature, there is so much disagreement. So some people say, look, what is an AGI? AGI is the system that can do anything that humans can do, right? That was the definition, right? So what does that mean? It means we need to have a system that can do physical stuff the way we do, can come on the stage, like talk, like dance, like everything that you do in this festival, but also can do a lot of cognitive tasks. Now, it happens, according to the science of robotics, we are so far, for various hardware reasons, we are so far from developing these AI systems that can do these physical tasks. So we're just like not there. Like as a matter of fact, if you ask roboticists, 10 roboticists, that is what they're gonna say, okay? And originally, it seems like that was the definition of AGI. Then it seems like some other people say, well, we just want to have this system that do cognitive tasks. And so if you go in different cultures, there are some psychologists that have gone and studies cognitive tasks, the meaning of cognitive tasks in different cultures. And some cultures really think that being embodied, being in the physical world is just so central to intelligence. So if you take that out from intelligence, you are not having an intelligent system. But some other cultures basically think about intelligence in terms of performing cognitive tasks. And so this kind of space tells you something. It's just like, seems like people take the definition of AGI that they prefer, and then they kind of like go for that. But there's this other disagreement also, that if we think about the just real harm narrative, immediate harm narrative, some people say we have to talk about AGI, all of the companies are talking about AGI, so I think citizens need to engage in these discussions about AGI, but some other people, like Timnit Gebru, say, okay, this is an unrealistic concept, we shouldn't do it. Okay, so, and then there are some other people who completely, it's just like, talk past each other, because the notion is undefined. Like, what is it? You mean something, I mean something else. We talk about different stuff. Okay, so I think, given this messy landscape that I have like kind of talked to you about, I think we actually need to develop a different narratives. Like, we need to know about those narratives, we need to think about them, we need to take them seriously, but those are not, I think, the narratives that are kind of like independent of the perspectives of the normal citizen. So, you know, someone who says accelerationist wants to fund a lot of AI researchers. And of course, there are a lot of benefits in doing AI research. We are not ignoring that. But the idea is like, it's complicated. We don't know what is that narrative. And so we have to develop it together as democratic agents in this real world. We have to understand this complex space. And then we have to think about new ways of thinking about the future of AI. Okay, so how should we do that? I think we need to do that by kind of, after we answer to these questions. These are hard questions. These are not questions that any single agent, human, can answer. And that's why we call it a democratic agents narrative. It's like a couple of people should sit, come together, discuss different perspectives. And yeah, these are really, really hard questions. None of them have any answers. No one has any answer to this question. Okay, the first one, which I think is like a super important question, is like, how should we distribute the economic benefits of AI fairly across society? Because if AI is changing the meaning of humanity, why a couple of people in some wealthy countries are putting and developing the systems, giving access to these systems just to some of their citizens? Like, which humanity, which part of humanity is benefiting from AI? This is a really important, super hard question, and I think more and more people need to work and think about it. The second question is like, what happens to human agency in decision making? I mean, we saw this amazing installation, AI installation. If you haven't checked it out, please go check it out, which kind of shows you can, in principle, use an AI system to automate human judgment. Like, you can do it, but what does it mean? Should we kind of like put those automated judgment systems into various decision-making situations that require making decisions about humanity's mood, humanity's face? Like, what are the spaces of applications, and what happens if we apply them? What happens to human agency, the things that we believe is unique to us and we've been kind of appreciating for many centuries? And then what happens to kind of privacy, happens to the issues or notions of privacy and individual rights? A lot of the current AI systems are trained on human data, lots of human data, and then a lot of us are not even aware of it, right? So a lot of you tried this installation. Probably none of you asked, like, yeah, what's going to happen with your data, right? Or like, not, this is just one example, but a lot, like all of the chats you do with ChatGPT, similar systems, what is happening with your data? So we don't ask these kinds of very important questions. And the last one is like, how can we make sure that developing these AI systems improves the well-being of humanity, right? So there are some benefits we get out of the AI systems, but some benefits that probably we are not getting out of AI systems. So here are some suggestions that we need to kind of develop these systems. We need to, first of all, understand that it is complicated. There is no one on this planet that can tell you this is how we have to go forward and then everyone else agrees with. It's a complex issue. A lot of people have their own perspective, have their own motivations behind it. And the exciting thing about it is that the question is not resolved. So the answer is not there. So each of you could be like a part of investigating and giving an answer to this question. Second of all, which is absolutely important, like avoid oversimplification. If a super smart computer scientist says artificial general intelligence comes in 2 years and it's going to kill all of us, and there's going to be another new species coming up, just don't buy into it. Just really try to understand what is it. And the good thing is that there are so many free courses now about AI, about machine learning, about AGI, about everything. You don't need to go to Harvard University or Stanford to learn about this. A lot of those professors have made their courses available for free. So just like learning and thinking about it and talking with a lot of people helps just to not buy into these oversimplifications. And then also again acknowledge that there are this spectrum of possibilities. So I talked to you about 3 narratives. I can't reject any of the narratives. There are just some possibilities. And the question is like, okay, when we think about them, do we want to buy into one of them? What do we want to do with it? And then, for example, like when people like Timnit Gebru say we have to think about current problems here and now, it is so important, that's true, but we also need to think about future, right? Because future is coming in, because people are building future. So just focusing on current problems maybe is not just, it's necessary, but it's not like sufficient. And then, again, as I said, and I mean, I'm a university professor, so I teach it, and the more I teach and the more I work and do advising for different companies, I think the first important thing we have to do is to cultivate AI literacy. When people know about what is AI, they won't fall for bullshit, they won't fall for hypes. And like that is like the first step that we all like need to go for it, and then also listen to like many different perspectives. Again, don't fall for this idea of this guy got this award at this year, so he knows about the future of humanity. Like this is not how it is. Because a lot of those people are just like super amazing researchers in computer science. They don't know about society, they don't know about geopolitics, they don't know about the use of AI in military, right? And so how come they can tell us about the future of AI? And so, yeah, so basically the idea is just like we need to kind of like develop this other scenario. Okay. I didn't tell you what is this narrative, but I hope that I convinced you that there is this like other narrative that we need to develop together as a collective through deliberation, through different engagement discussions. So just to close the talk, I want you again to scan this, and now that there is a 4th option kind of like added to the list, just choose which scenario you'd prefer. And so far, this shows something very interesting, because if we only have 3 options, we need to choose from one of them. But if we think that we can have our own narrative, then there's another option. And I think that is an option that is not discussed enough. It's as if we are these passive people, and there are these researchers, and these developers, and these billionaires deciding about our future. But no, actually, that's not the case. Like, we need to build other different narratives. And also these narratives, like building narratives, are always very hard. They take time, they need research, they need creativity. It's not that someone comes and sits in 1 hour and say, okay, I have a narrative. Each of these narratives have been developed over hours and hours of research, collaboration, understanding of society, how AI works, how can we kind of like dig deep into the way people think, and etc. Okay, so we got 16 responses, 17 responses. Okay. You don't need to choose the first one because you're nice to me. You can choose whatever option you really favor or you pick. But I think the good thing about this like democratic agents narrative is that it can kind of be like a more nuanced kind of space, right? You can say, well, yeah, we know that in some areas it's very important to develop better AI systems. If we can develop AI systems for resolving medical decisions, like let's go for it. But we don't need to necessarily build any like bullshit AI algorithm that can do whatever things, like can become your friend or yeah, I mean, there's a very funny startup called Friend AI. I think you should check it out. I really dislike the startups. So the idea, the promise of this startup is like, you know, you have this algorithmic system that you can use, put in your necklace, and then you go everywhere and you talk to your friend. Your friend is everywhere with you. And there's this designer who told me, what kind of losers are going to use these systems? Because if you wear this, it means that you don't have friends. You don't have human friends. You just need to use like your AI friend. All right. So I think I'm at time. We got 19 responses. And it seemed like now the majority of people prefer democratic agents narrative. Yay, thank you. And then we have the accelerationist narrative, the existential risk narrative, and it's interesting that the just immediate harm narrative is not chosen, maybe because this other narrative can mix and match between these other perspectives, so we don't need to fight. We just can think about a collective vision for us. All right. Thank you so much for your attention, and I look forward to answer any questions you might have.